The Philadelphia experiment is a mysterious and widely debated event that allegedly occurred in 1943 at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard. According to legend, the U.S. Navy conducted a secret experiment on the USS Eldridge, a naval destroyer, with the aim of making invisible to enemy radar, and possibly even to the naked eye. Some versions of the story go even further, suggesting that the experiment not only rendered the ship invisible, but also caused it to teleport hundreds of miles away, appearing briefly in Norfolk, Virginia before returning to its original position. The supposed mechanism behind the experiment involved powerful electromagnetic fields, based on speculative interpretations of Albert Einstein's Unified Field Theory. This theory aimed to merge electromagnetism and gravity into a single framework, and supporters of the story believe that this scientific foundation made such a dramatic event possible. Eyewitness reports, though never verified, claim that crew members experienced horrifying effects, including burns, mental breakdowns, or even becoming physically embedded in the ship's structure. While mainstream scientists and historians dismiss the experiment as a hoax or a misinterpretation of naval technology like degaussing used to protect ships from magnetic mines, the tale has persisted for decades. It remains a popular topic in books, films, and conspiracy theories. Despite the lack of credible evidence, the idea of secret military experiments and invisible warships continues to capture the imagination of the public, blurring the line between science fiction and reality. According to some of the more chilling accounts of the Philadelphia experiment, the USS Eldridge didn't just vanish from sight. It allegedly disappeared entirely from the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard and reappeared minutes later in Norfolk, Virginia, over 300 kilometers away. Eyewitnesses and secondhand reports describe the event as sudden and unexplainable, with the ship momentarily engulfed in a greenish haze or intense light before vanishing into thin air. Just as quickly, the vessel reportedly rematerialized, leaving behind a scene of chaos and horror. What makes this version of the story particularly disturbing is the supposed condition of the crew following the incident. Multiple accounts suggest that when the ship returned, some sailors were found in a state of mental disarray, unable to remember who they were or what had happened. Others were reportedly suffering from severe nausea, burns, or complete psychological breakdowns. The most extreme version of the tale claims that a number of men had become physically merged with the ship, arms, legs, or torsos fused into the metal hull, as though the teleportation had gone terribly wrong at the atomic level. These descriptions paint a picture of a catastrophic failure of an experiment that tampered with the boundaries of space, time, and matter. While no official documentation supports these accounts, the intensity and consistency of such reports have fueled speculation for decades. Some theorists argue that the human body, not designed to withstand the manipulation of electromagnetic fields or spatial displacement, reacted unpredictably when subjected to such extreme conditions. The eerie image of sailors trapped halfway inside steel bulkheads has become an iconic symbol of the dangers of unchecked scientific experimentation. Whether fact or fiction, these stories serve as a dark reminder of the possible human cost behind military innovation and scientific ambition pushed beyond ethical boundaries. One of the more intriguing scientific aspects tied to the Philadelphia experiment is its alleged connection to Albert Einstein's Unified Field Theory, a theoretical framework that attempts to unite the forces of electromagnetism and gravity into a single coherent model. Although Einstein himself never fully completed the theory, its speculative applications have been widely interpreted in fringe science communities. Some believe that the U.S. Navy, possibly influenced by these early theoretical ideas, attempted to use powerful electromagnetic generators to manipulate the natural laws surrounding a physical object, specifically the USS Eldridge. The idea behind this approach is that if a strong enough electromagnetic field could be created, it might be able to distort space around the object, bending both light and radar waves, thus rendering the ship invisible. This concept is loosely similar to what modern scientists refer to as electromagnetic cloaking, though the technology today is far more limited in scope and still in the experimental stages. Back in the 1940s, such applications would have been groundbreaking, far beyond the science of the time. Supporters of the experiment suggest that Einstein's unfinished work left enough theoretical groundwork for ambitious military scientists to attempt something radical. They argue that by manipulating the space-time fabric surrounding a ship, it might be possible to hide it from detection, or even alter its position in space. While mainstream physics rejects this interpretation, the theory adds a layer of scientific intrigue to the story. Even today, the mystery surrounding the Unified Field Theory and its possible applications continues to spark debate. Could it be that early, classified research attempted to weaponize fundamental physics in ways we still don't understand? Though unproven, the link between Einstein's work and the Philadelphia experiment fuels speculation that behind the legend lies a forgotten or buried scientific breakthrough, one that blurred the line between theoretical physics and experimental reality. In recent decades, the advancement of metamaterials has opened up new possibilities in the field of electromagnetic manipulation. These are specially engineered materials designed to have properties not found in nature, particularly in how they interact with electromagnetic waves such as light, microwaves, and radar. By carefully structuring these materials at a microscopic level, scientists have managed to create limited forms of invisibility cloaks, which can guide waves around an object, similar to how water flows around a rock, making it effectively invisible to certain detection systems. So far, these developments have been largely experimental and small-scale, successfully demonstrated with tiny objects in controlled lab environments. The materials can bend microwave radiation, which is the basis of many radar systems, allowing researchers to render objects undetectable within very narrow frequency bands. However, these technologies face significant limitations when it comes to scalability. Making an object as massive as a naval warship invisible, whether to radar or visible light, remains far beyond current technological capabilities. The complexity of creating consistent cloaking effects across large surfaces, multiple frequencies, and variable environmental conditions presents a major barrier. Moreover, metamaterials often function only within specific wavelengths, and their effectiveness can be disrupted by motion, atmospheric interference, or physical deformation. While the concept may sound like science fiction, it is grounded in real scientific research, and future breakthroughs could expand its potential uses. The military has already explored limited stealth applications, such as reducing radar cross-sections of aircraft and vehicles using radar-absorbing coatings and angular design. Despite the hype around invisibility cloaks, today's technology is far from achieving the fantastical results claimed by the Philadelphia experiment legend. Nevertheless, research into metamaterials continues to evolve, sparking interest in whether partial or adaptive invisibility might one day be practical, not for teleporting ships, but for advanced stealth and defense systems. Quantum teleportation is one of the most intriguing phenomena in modern physics, often misunderstood due to its name. While it conjures images of instantly transporting people or objects across vast distances, the reality is far more subtle and rooted in quantum theory. In essence, quantum teleportation refers to the transfer of quantum information, the specific state of a particle, from one location to another, without moving the particle itself through space. This process relies on a principle known as quantum entanglement, where two particles become linked in such a way that the state of one immediately affects the other, no matter how far apart they are. By using entangled particles, scientists can transmit the exact quantum state of a particle to a distant counterpart, essentially recreating the original particle's state elsewhere. However, this doesn't involve transporting any actual physical matter, only the information that defines it. Quantum teleportation has been successfully demonstrated in laboratory settings with photons, electrons, and even small atomic systems. These experiments represent major breakthroughs in quantum communication and computing, paving the way for future technologies like quantum internet and highly secure encryption systems. But despite its name, quantum teleportation has nothing to do with large-scale physical transportation, as suggested in stories like the Philadelphia experiment. Transferring a human or an object composed of trillions of atoms would require the complete scanning, destruction, and reassembly of that matter at a distant location. Not only is this concept beyond current technological capabilities, but it also raises massive ethical, philosophical, and scientific challenges. Thus, while quantum teleportation is real, it's strictly limited to the microscopic world of quantum mechanics. The idea of instantly relocating a ship or person, as proposed in conspiracy theories, has no grounding in actual science. Yet, the continued exploration of quantum entanglement remains a cornerstone of futuristic technologies, showing how speculative fiction often borrows kernels of truth from cutting-edge research. Many of the disturbing symptoms reportedly experienced by the crew of the USS Eldridge, such as confusion, memory loss, nausea, and even hallucinations, may have a scientific explanation that doesn't involve time travel or teleportation. Modern research has shown that intense exposure to electromagnetic EM fields can have a significant impact on the human nervous system and cognitive function. In particular, extremely strong EM fields can interact with the brain's natural electrical activity, potentially leading to a wide range of psychological and physical effects. For instance, individuals working near powerful radar equipment or high-voltage electromagnetic sources have sometimes reported experiencing symptoms such as headaches, dizziness, vertigo, and altered perception. In more extreme or prolonged exposure, some people have described feeling lightheaded, confused, or emotionally unstable. These are very similar to the effects described in Philadelphia experiment accounts, where sailors were said to wander aimlessly, forget their identities, or act irrationally after the supposed event. In controlled studies, EM fields have been shown to influence brainwave activity, especially in areas related to spatial orientation and memory. It's not inconceivable that if the USS Eldridge was involved in experimental technology involving high-powered electromagnetic equipment, perhaps for stealth or degaussing purposes, then unintended side effects on the crew could have occurred. Another possibility is that radiation exposure or other environmental hazards during the tests might have contributed to the reported physical and mental health issues. If these effects were poorly understood or deliberately concealed at the time, it could have led to exaggerated stories and confusion among witnesses. Ultimately, while there is no evidence to support the more fantastical claims of teleportation, the physiological impact of strong electromagnetic exposure offers a plausible explanation for the bizarre behaviors attributed to the crew, rooted not in conspiracy, but in the very real and still developing field of bioelectromagnetics. While the Philadelphia experiment has captured the imagination of conspiracy theorists and science fiction fans alike, many historians and naval experts suggest that the origins of the legend may be far more mundane. A widely accepted theory is that the tale stems from a misinterpretation or exaggeration of real and routine naval procedures known as degaussing, a method used during World War II to protect ships from magnetic sea mines. Magnetic mines were a serious threat at the time, detonating when they detected the magnetic signature of passing metal vessels. To counter this danger, navies developed degaussing technology, which involved installing electrical cables around a ship's hull and running controlled electric currents through them. This process effectively reduced or canceled the ship's magnetic field, making it less likely to trigger these mines. From an outsider's perspective, especially someone unfamiliar with naval operations or the science behind electromagnetic systems, the sight of cables, electrical pulses, and strange equipment might have appeared mysterious or even secretive. It's plausible that such activity, combined with wartime secrecy and classified procedures, could have sparked rumors or wild speculation about invisibility or teleportation experiments. Moreover, the classified nature of many military operations during the 1940s may have fueled the idea that something was deliberately being hidden. In the fog of war and post-war storytelling, the technical realities of degaussing could have been misrepresented or misunderstood, eventually snowballing into the more elaborate and supernatural versions of the Philadelphia experiment story. Adding to the confusion, wartime misinformation campaigns were common, often intended to mislead enemy intelligence. Some researchers believe the myth may have even been intentionally propagated as a distraction from real defense projects. In this context, the Philadelphia experiment serves as a case study in how technical jargon, secrecy, and imaginative thinking can converge to create enduring legends, ones that may have started with something as practical and defensive as magnetic shielding. Despite its persistent presence in conspiracy lore and pop culture, the Philadelphia experiment lacks any solid, verifiable evidence to support the extraordinary claims surrounding it. One of the most compelling arguments against its authenticity comes from the official naval records of the USS Eldridge. According to the ship's detailed logs and service documents, the Eldridge was not even in Philadelphia at the time the alleged experiment was said to have taken place in 1943. Instead, the records place the ship in a completely different location, engaging in routine naval operations far removed from the dramatic tale of teleportation and invisibility. Moreover, no credible eyewitnesses have ever come forward with substantiated proof. The most well-known source of the story, a man named Carl Allen, or Carlos Allende, claimed to have witnessed the event and corresponded with scientists about it. However, investigations into his background and statements revealed inconsistencies, questionable mental health, and a tendency to fabricate stories. His claims were never supported by corroborating testimony, photographs, or official documentation. In addition, the story has been heavily embellished over the decades, often changing in the details depending on the version told. This evolving narrative is a hallmark of folklore rather than factual history. While the tale is undoubtedly fascinating, it has all the characteristics of a legend, built on hearsay, misunderstanding, and imagination, rather than on tangible proof. Mainstream scientists, naval historians, and researchers have consistently dismissed the Philadelphia experiment as a hoax or a misinterpretation of actual wartime events. Without credible physical evidence, documentation, or reliable testimonies, the theory remains speculative at best. It stands today as a reminder of how compelling stories, no matter how outlandish, can endure when fueled by secrecy, curiosity, and the human love for the mysterious. The roots of the Philadelphia experiment story can be traced back to a single enigmatic individual named Carl Meredith Allen, who also went by the alias Carlos Allende. His role in shaping the myth cannot be overstated. Allen first introduced the idea of the experiment in the 1950s through a series of handwritten notes and letters, most notably addressed to Morris K. Jessup, an author who had written about unidentified flying objects. In these letters, Allen claimed to have witnessed a U.S. Navy destroyer vanish and reappear during a secret experiment involving invisibility. However, over time, Carl Allen's reputation has come under serious scrutiny. Multiple investigations into his life and claims have revealed that he was a troubled and eccentric individual, often blending fact with fiction. Those who knew him described him as imaginative but unreliable, frequently prone to exaggeration and fantastical thinking. Notably, no official documentation or credible witness has ever supported his version of events. His letters were filled with unverifiable anecdotes, inconsistent timelines, and vague scientific references that lack coherence. Some researchers believe Allen may have had some familiarity with naval operations and scientific jargon, which gave his stories a superficial sense of plausibility. But upon closer inspection, his accounts fall apart under logical and factual analysis. Moreover, Allen admitted on multiple occasions to fabricating or embellishing the story. These admissions, coupled with his erratic behavior, have led many to conclude that the entire legend may have originated as a form of elaborate storytelling or even a hoax. Yet, despite his lack of credibility, the tale caught public imagination, especially after Jessup's mysterious death, which added another layer of intrigue. In retrospect, Carl Allen appears more like a creator of fiction than a whistleblower, crafting a narrative that, while captivating, rests on shaky ground. His influence is a powerful reminder of how a single voice, even without evidence, can ignite a myth that lasts for generations. Although the Philadelphia experiment has been widely discredited by experts and historians, it continues to thrive in popular culture, where it has taken on a life of its own. Its lasting appeal lies not in scientific validity, but in its powerful blend of mystery, military secrecy, and futuristic science, themes that resonate deeply with audiences fascinated by the unknown. From books and documentaries to films and television series, the story has been reimagined countless times, often with dramatic embellishments. The 1984 movie The Philadelphia Experiment, for instance, brought the legend to mainstream attention, portraying the events as a government experiment gone horribly wrong. This film, along with other fictionalized accounts, helped embed the story into the broader landscape of science fiction, where ideas like invisibility, time travel, and teleportation are staples. Beyond entertainment, the legend has indirectly inspired speculative discussions about advanced technology, particularly in areas such as electromagnetic cloaking, quantum mechanics, and classified military research. Some believe that while the story itself may not be factual, it reflects real public curiosity about the potential limits of science and how far governments are willing to go in the pursuit of power or secrecy. The continued relevance of the Philadelphia experiment can also be attributed to society's deep interest in conspiracy theories. Much like stories about Area 51 or secret alien programs, it taps into the belief that powerful institutions may be hiding transformative knowledge from the public. This suspicion fuels not only fascination, but also a form of modern mythology, blending real scientific principles with imagination and distrust. Ultimately, the Philadelphia experiment persists because it sits at the intersection of science fiction and cultural folklore. Its themes spark curiosity, debate, and wonder, ensuring that even without evidence, it remains a compelling narrative for generations to come.